Is everything truly better in Japan? Should you spend your hard-earned money on a glorified toy gun? Today we find out. Our ammunition sponsor for Lambda 5 is primarily Striker Airsoft Industries. They make the best, most precision BBs we can find here in Central Florida. We use nothing else because it's all trash. They're improving their lineup with heavier weights, tracers, and they also make batteries and gear. Go check them out. They're good for us. Secondly, I need to thank Wasteland Ops Airsoft for allowing us to come onto the field. Great reffing staff, great people. Been coming here for years. Highly recommend it. Go check them out as well. Full disclosure, I am a nobody. No one's paid me to review these. These have both been bought with their owner's own money, and I'm going to be completely unbiased. This right here is my personal rifle, running an A2 birdcage, Streamlight, flashlights, repro pack, pressure pad, BCM grip. Got the Holy Warrior repro EOTech setup. This thing's awesome, works great. It's the best repro you can get. Looks awesome, snaps good, doesn't wobble. Magpul stock, Magpul grip, love it. And yeah, it's great. I've made some internal upgrades because these guns are originally meant for the Japanese markets, but we run propane down here, so there's some things you got to do if you're going to be running that high of pressure. First of all, going to clear it, and right here had to change out the nozzle spring in the bolt because it's too weak, and in here the trigger spring. It can handle the colder weather, but once mags get hot, you're running propane in there, it's not gonna be able to take it. And this is my buddy's gun. He bought his new from Red Wolf Airsoft. He's got an LPVO scope, foregrip, same light and peg setup. Runs beautifully, except because it's in the summer months, he has not switched out his trigger spring yet, and it's struggling a little bit. And this is because the spring doesn't have enough power to hit the valve knocker, which is way higher pressure because of the propane and the heat of the mag, because that's just physics. This, however, runs beautifully, no matter the heat or cold. Now, why should you get the MWS over a GHK, a VFC, godforsaken WeTech and KWA? The internals aren't as realistic, unlike VFC, which has very realistic internals, and actually too realistic to the point where they can't be shipped into the US. But those perform beautifully, very snappy, such as these. They're both very good choices. GHK is terrible right now. I would not buy that. KWA is really good. I recommend buying that.
You're just trolling.
Yeah. Let's get into some of the quirks. First of all, out of the box, the hop-up cannot handle much more than like a 3.0 or 3.2 maybe. So you can get a cheap $15 hop arm, throw that in there, good to go. Next, nozzle spring, get one from Dynamic Precision, works perfectly. The original one will break under the pressure after I think like 2,000 rounds or so. And then the trigger spring, again, Dynamic Precision, they make a good one. That'll last, that'll work throughout the heat. And whenever you're taking your trigger box out of your gun, don't hit it with a hammer. And don't ask me why, I know. So the buffer that comes with the MWS is springy and plastic. Now, if you are running this in the heat and the high pressure, it can start to break and wear down the buffer, and you may be thinking you want a new one. Well, the Mad Bull metal one with the shifting weights is mostly recommended. The only thing with that is you got to make sure you screw in your buffer tube a few times so that there's not a little shelf for the buffer to get hung up on, or you will have catastrophic failures mid-game. Now, the first thing someone thinks in the binding gas blowback is, how's the recoil? Well, that depends on what buffer you get, but let's say you have the stock one. The recoil is pretty decent. You're mostly going to be benefiting from the snappiness. Those things on that buffer are super quick. The full auto is awesome, and we'll get into that in a second. Cool little feature is these actually eject the round and pull the charging handle back, so you don't got to shoot to clear it, which is another realism factor that I really like. The trigger, though, is not nearly as good as a VFC per se. It's very soft, Mine's worn in a good bit, so mine is clicky, and the reset is much better, and I can fire it fast. But out of the box, it's lightweight, it's mushy, not awesome. But the more you use it, and if you put maybe some different springs in, a few different parts, it'll get better. But it's 100% usable. The range and accuracy out of the stock pop-up arm is not great because it's meant for low-powered dust or gas out there in Japan. But once you put that new one in, it can launch 3.2s is what we primarily use, out to probably 100, 150, really nicely. Now we got the stock buffer in this gun, and we're gonna look at how great this full auto is. Very fast, very impressive, great kick, love that. And now we'll try out the aftermarket buffer. All right, so we're gonna switch buffers here. Just gotta pop out that rear takedown pin, press the little button in the back, spring will come out in the buffer. That's the plastic buffer. It's got a spring right there. And this is what we're putting in there. It's got shifting weights. Close it back up. So we're gonna go ahead and try out that full auto with the second buffer. Very consistent, still a good fire rate, not as fast, but it gives you a better kick because of those shifting weights. It's also heavier, metal, and very nice. Another reason you would replace that buffer is because the shifting weights actually stop bolt bounce, which again, from the higher pressure of propane, can cause double feeding with full auto. I haven't experienced that personally, but that's what I've heard. And yeah, this thing's starting to get a little chewed out, but that's why I usually run the Mad Bull buffer. All right, guys, closing thoughts. Do I recommend the Tokyo Marui MWS? Absolutely. I bought this thing a year ago. I've been running it consistently almost every weekend, and it has performed flawlessly. I completely rely on this, and I've full trust that it will continue to work. It provides great performance and outstanding fun that I just could never get with an AEG. And I want to thank Wasteland Ops out here in Bellevue for letting us come here and film. It's a great field. Come out here and see it. You might see us sometime. You can follow me on Instagram at lambda5_SNDWCH, and you can follow our team account lambda_5_airsoft. And you can see pictures of us from when we go to events or even just weekend games.